the idiom, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, sounds pretty self-explanatory. It really originated from 16th century European bathing practices where families reused the same bathwater with the baby being washed last. It's kind of a warning not to discard something valuable like the baby when getting rid of the undesirable dirty bathwater.
Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. I love my little cat. I'm very fond of that. I'd rather have a big bow wow 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 wow. Daddy
Hello, and welcome to the Mochiverse. I'm Linette.
And I'm Skip.
See, and you come from a place of ultimate privilege because you're the oldest. So you didn't have to worry about being the last to take a bath, even if you lived in like the 1800s.
Yeah, exactly. I would be the first one,
After
and
dad, yeah.
yeah,
It's like
after
dad
that.
first and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's absolutely true, and then it's an interesting thing, you can imagine how that really started because, like everything else, water was scarce.
Right.
Uh, heating it was very difficult to do. It's
Correct.
labor intensive. So they'd often use the same bath water, with the most, like we were just saying, the most important person bathing first, often the man of the house, followed by others in the decreasing status with the baby last.
Right.
And it's also, what's interesting about that saying, it's also a metaphor for emphasizing the importance of discerning between what is valuable and what is not,
Right.
even when dealing with something that's not desirable.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like it's similar to the idiom, like, don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Yes. Yeah.
Where why don't you just pay attention to what you're doing and don't make a bigger problem for yourself in the process of, either not being careful or being angry or spiteful or whatever it is in your situation. So yeah, I love those. Those are
Yeah. Those are kind of cool. I mean, it was, like I say, it's a pretty obvious idiom, but, it's interesting always seeing the origin of these, say, idioms. And when you hear them, and maybe we date ourselves. I don't know if the younger generation sort of
yeah.
gets it, because they didn't have to worry about bath water.
Well, that's correct. Yeah, that's true. And there's a lot of sayings that they're not familiar with that I'm one of those people who keeps trying to keep them alive, because I think that kind of thing is important. It's an important part of the way our language evolved. And there's one actually that I saw a few weeks ago on Facebook, and it's an idiom that's everybody still uses, but I think a lot of people don't understand what it's trying to say. They
Mhm.
use it in the right way, but they don't get it. Like they think it's silly. And that's you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
And because a lot of people are like, but if you have your cake, you're having your cake. So that
Right.
doesn't make sense. That's both the same thing, but no.
Yeah.
No, having your cake isn't the same as eating your cake. Basically, if you have this beautiful cake and you can either have it and have this beautiful thing and keep it beautiful, or you can eat it and then it'll be gone and you won't have your cake anymore. Like,
Right.
and people don't get that anymore. They're just like, what do you mean have it and eat it?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they were so confused.
Yep.
I
Yep.
felt bad, but several years ago, I stopped participating in comment conversations because
Mm,
it got a little out of hand after a while. Once you start engaging in those kind of conversations in the comment section,
mhm.
it's really hard to stop. And then you look up and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you've just had this really spirited argument with somebody you're never going to meet in your life. And they've made you either so mad or
Mm.
you're just determined to make them understand.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
just.
They do. Yeah.
So now I just read them and I yell at the air like you do with movies.
Right. Yeah. True.
So that's
So,
good. I like that. Throw your
yep.
baby out with the bathwater. So, hi, folks. Welcome to the show. I know we already said hi, but we just kind of went right into our discussion, which is great. I like it that way. We're doing some more trivia for you this week. We got some quick ones and we got some long form ones and we got some regular old ones. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Yeah, let me do some quick hitters.
Yeah, no, let's
Okay.
do it.
During the 1906 and 1908 Olympics, pistol dueling was the sport.
Oh,
And fortunately, the contestants completed using wax bullets and wore extensive protection.
my goodness, though.
Yeah, I know. It's still kind of seriously.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it seems a bit. I mean, I can understand target shooting, but dueling is. I guess you don't have to like worry about determining who the winner is. I guess it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
And like we talked about in our John Wick 4 discussion, when things hit you, even if you're protected, and even if they don't kill you,
It
it still
hurts.
hurts.
Yeah. So another cool one from the Olympics was in 1936,
Mm.
two Japanese pole vaulters tied for second place. Rather than competing in a tiebreaker, the pair refused to continue so they could share the podium.
Oh,
When they got back to Japan, they cut their silver and bronze medals in half and fused them together so each could have half silver and half bronze medal. Is someone who likes teamwork,
yeah.
I really like that story. That's really cool. It
Yeah, that's very sweet, and it's also a very Japanese thing to do, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
Yeah, they're all about the bigger picture and fairness, and
yeah, yeah. And someone would say, maybe not so much now, but someone would say, "Hey, I won, you lost." Well, that's not what the competition is usually about. When they shake hands, if they genuinely shake hands
right,
in a way that's what you consider for sports should be all about, because sports is really, it's not serious. It's maybe it's serious for people that are playing it, but
hmm,
it's not serious in terms of what its intrinsic value is to society and
right.
to
Well,
everyday life.
and also specifically when you're talking about the Olympics,
Hmm.
yes, it is a competition, and yes, you want to win.
Hmm.
But if two people tie from the same country, your country won. I mean, the way the Olympics
That's right.
works, it's about which country wins,
Right.
a lot
Hmm.
of times. And all they represented their country equally.
Yep.
So I could totally see how they would say, "Hey, listen, we both won for our country."
Yeah.
Like,
There you go.
yeah, that's the way that you should think about things like that.
Yeah. And here's one last quick hitter, and then you can hit some too.
Oh, sure.
And we may have talked about this before, but
Mhm.
gladiator sweat was highly sought after in Rome, and
Oh,
it was often mixed into perfumes and used as an aphrodisiac.
I'm not surprised about that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Romans had some interesting taste in things like that.
Yep.
But also, but also, I mean, you know how they talk about not wanting to know how the sausage is made?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true that you don't want to know how perfume is made either. Like because
Yeah.
I mean, maybe today it's more just chemicals, but back in the olden days, a very large element of perfume was actually like, like whale vomit.
Yeah, and all kinds of other
So,
bizarre things, and that you would not think would be uh, palatable,
right, right.
but
And the those flavoring agent. Did you know about the flavoring agent that's still used today? It's like a vanilla flavoring agent. If the company is using like non-vegan, but if the
mhm,
company is using a quote unquote natural flavoring, a natural
yeah,
vanilla flavoring,
yeah.
it's most likely from the anal gland of I think a beaver or a badger. I can't remember
Wow.
which.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
So natural flavor. It's natural. Comes from nature.
natural. It's natural. Yeah. Hey, I'll get one quick more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sorry, one more quick more.
yeah.
Okay. During Chairman Mao's Great Leap Forward, China waged war on sparrows,
Oh,
which were known to eat the grain grown by farmers.
yes.
Unfortunately, they also ate locusts, and the
Yeah.
campaign against the sparrows was so successful that the locust populations exploded for years, destroying vastly more crops than the sparrows ever had. What's that saying? Be careful what you wish for, or unintended consequences, all
Don't
those other.
throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of birds was it that Rowley was trying to encourage with those dumb mosquito houses? Was it sparrows or was it? Yeah, it was I thought it was sparrows.
It might have been sparrows.
'Cause you
Uh,
remember they didn't want to spray for mosquitoes, so they built bird houses everywhere.
Yeah, and they did bat houses too.
Yeah.
But you're right, there was a bird, and now that you're saying that, I can't remember which
Sparrow or
bird it
swallow?
was.
I think it was sparrows.
It could be a swallow. You might have hit it there too. I don't know which
Yeah,
one it is. That's
maybe.
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, it's an environmentally responsible way
Hmm.
of doing something. I will
Yeah.
grant that, but also wildly ineffective. I mean, I was talking to Richard about, we have a normal amount of mosquitoes here in
Hmm.
Daytona Beach, and you're sitting outside and you go, "Oh, the mosquitoes are eating me alive." Like we have no idea what it's like unless, or somebody has no idea what it's like unless they've lived in where we lived near the bar, in Rowley near the marshes. You couldn't
Yeah.
even go out at dusk. Like you just
Yes.
couldn't. It was swarms and swarms and swarms of
There
them.
was, yeah, there was an article one time about that, where it was the salt marsh mosquitoes had a range of like 25 miles or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
and which really encompassed the whole area.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
a lot of times, not a lot of times, most time with mosquitoes, it's going out at dusk is when you get attacked. There, it was all day long.
That's true. That's true.
So.
Although dusk was really bad. Like you
Oh,
could
oh
not.
yeah. No,
I
you wouldn't even go out then, so.
Yeah. I think we should have gotten one of those things that Stacy had. Remember Stacy had the gas powered or propane powered
Oh, yeah, okay. Zapper.
thing.
Yeah.
It was like it's really cool actually. It's powered by propane, like a propane tank that you'd use for your either the little ones or the big ones you use for the grill, depending on which model you buy.
Mhm.
And all it does is generate a bunch of carbon dioxide, which simulates a person breathing.
And
And the
then
mosquitoes are attracted to that, and that's why they come at you. So all you have to
oh,
do
okay.
really is just not breathe around mosquitoes.
That's all you gotta do. Yeah, simple.
Yeah, much cheaper, I guess. Don't breathe. Oh my gosh. I do have some list ones, but first, before I do that, I have one that I picked this a few weeks ago, and you probably already know it, but I thought it was kind of fascinating and funny. So the fact starts out as this: there are 56 species of fish that are sold as snapper in U.S. restaurants. And
Really?
this is all over the US, and there's so many articles about this. And it's part of a larger thing, which is like the way that they present seafood in particular in restaurants, and why. And some of it is conservation thing, some of it is just an aesthetics thing. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of articles about this. And in some of the articles, they had gathered samples from a bunch of restaurants and they did like DNA testing on the fish and
Okay.
found, yeah, this wasn't being sold as what it is. And I don't know if you remember, but Subway had that controversy a few years back where their tuna sub, they were like, it doesn't even have tuna. But the problem with the media, the problem with the media.
Yep.
By the way, we're part of the media. I don't know if you know this.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem with the media is that you can say that and then not really say much else, and then people walk away with that information. So
Yeah.
yeah, so they had tested a bunch of like tuna subs from Subway and found that it wasn't tuna. I mean, it was fish.
Mm.
It just wasn't tuna. And so people were thinking they were thinking the worst because a couple of years before that, if you remember, we had the Parmesan cheese thing where there's wood pulp in the Parmesan
Yeah.
cheese,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you find out, oh my gosh, that can of Parmesan cheese that isn't really Parmesan cheese. You knew it really wasn't Parmesan cheese, but you're like, I had no idea I was eating wood pulp. I'm basically eating paper.
Yeah.
You hear that, and then you hear Subway doesn't have tuna in their tuna subs. You could be thinking anything at that point. What are we eating then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And oh, by the way, why would you get a tuna sub? But that's beside the
I
point.
know, I know, You know what's funny? I never understood that. I, when I was younger, I would eat tuna fish, tuna fish
Yep.
sandwich
Hmm.
because that was an easy lunch to make.
Right.
But if I'm going to a sub shop,
Ain't getting no tuna fish sandwich.
no, but I know so many people who do. They're like, "Oh, I'll have the tuna sub." I'm like, "What? What?" I don't know. I don't get it.
Okay.
Sorry,
Now,
tuna sub lovers, but
so, yeah, you're right. Tuna sub. Yeah, but I was just thinking, that the Catholic thing, fish on Friday.
yes, you're probably right. You're probably
Yeah.
right. Especially, you've got Italian sub places,
Hmm.
uh, probably Catholic. Yeah,
Yep.
they're probably
Yep.
observing that. And so they kind of got used to, oh, well, I have to have a sub today. So, and I can't eat turkey and I can't eat like meatball sub. I might as well get a tuna. You're absolutely right. And that's the reason the stupid fillet of fish came out at McDonald's.
Right. The same reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He really wanted pineapple, Ray
Yeah.
Kroc. He said he came out with like the hula burger first.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, this will be good for Fridays because you can eat pineapple, just pineapple on a bun with like some sauce." And they were all like, "Yeah, can we have fish?" But I don't know. I don't really like eating fish for lunch, anyways, anymore. I don't know. It's just a
Well,
thing.
I actually do. I'll get like a taco, fish taco, when
Oh
I go
yeah,
to a restaurant, which is pretty good.
they make them
But
good down here, though. It's
they
different.
they
Yeah.
do, yes. And I think I've told you before, that was the big thing about Catholic was that's why I thought of it. You was eating tuna on Friday.
That makes
Uh,
sense. I didn't even think about that. I didn't grow up
yeah,
that way, so
yeah. So
that's
anyway,
perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
So the snapper thing and other fish at restaurants. So again, some of it is just money, right? A
Mhm.
restaurant, so I guess snapper is relatively expensive. And but the name alone sells it. A person going to a restaurant sees it on a menu, they know snapper. Oh, that sounds like something I've had before. I like it.
Mhm.
And they're trying to save a little money, so they substitute cheaper kinds of fish and call it snapper. And most people won't know the difference because perhaps they don't eat it every day. Perhaps they eat it occasionally at a restaurant. And if you're at a restaurant, you're making your meals taste differently than at home.
Mhm.
They're just like, wow, this snapper is really good. It's not like the snapper.
Did, did you know that at this time, snapper season, red snapper season, just opened for people fishing. Not
Oh,
for
I see.
commercial, but for normal
Mm.
people. Yeah, normal people. Uh, for
Not those
sports
dirty
enthusiasts.
commercial
Yeah,
fishermen.
sports enthusiasts and whatever. But yeah, this is snapper season. Red snapper season was just started,
Oh,
where
see?
you could fish for. There's obviously a limit to how many you can get, but where you can fish for it. I think with red snapper, for example, is just, and the reason it's expensive is because there are not many of them around,
Yes,
and and because of that, they do limit the season and how much they can catch.
correct.
Uh, First time I ever had snapper that I can remember was when I was in Jamaica, and they are plentiful down there for some reason.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, maybe it's not, maybe it's for the tourists and they eat different ones for themselves or whatever. They
yeah,
have different tastes that they like.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah, so part of it is that too. And part of it is overfishing
Hmm.
because what'll happen is, something becomes very popular
Yep,
and the next thing you know, it becomes scarce because
yep.
the limits don't catch up quickly enough. Um, and so what a restaurant may do in response to that is not take snapper off the menu or not put a different kind of fish on the menu, but they would have a different fish and call it snapper. There's also other kinds of substitutes in restaurants for fish that are for different reasons. Like, for instance, just the name is changed to make it more appealing. Like, for instance, Chilean sea bass, which people know, and they would see it on a menu and ask for it. You've seen it on TV shows, and they're like, "Oh, everybody's talking about Chilean sea bass." Well, the real name of a Chilean sea bass is Patagonian toothfish. So, a lot of people, if you had never had that before, it doesn't the name of it just doesn't sound very appealing. You know what I mean? So they're not going to be
Right.
like, "Oh, I'll have the Patagonian toothfish. That sounds delicious." And orange roughy, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Okay.
The real name of that is slime head.
Hmm.
So, I mean, can you imagine going into like Harry's, for instance,
Right.
and ordering slime head? You know, I'll have the slime head taco, please. Yeah. So that's another reason. And then I don't know if you knew, but the scallops or whoever pronounces it however way you want, I'm not going to judge you. Um Most scallops sold in restaurants are actually more likely to be skate, stingray, or shark.
Hmm.
Now some sources that I saw online are saying it's a myth and you can totally get real scallops, but there's still a lot of other sources talking about this. So I don't eat scallops, so I don't really care all that much, but it's still a thing. So, I mean, scallops you can imagine are expensive, probably not just because of popularity, not just because of supply, but also it takes a bit of work to
Right.
get them and prepare them.
Hmm.
And so it's not just like a fish that you could just catch.
Right.
You have to, it's like a clam or something. You have to open it up and dress it a certain way and do things to it. So that involves a little more labor. Uh, and so they'll just take like a little circle, like a cookie cutter,
Hmm.
and just cut a circle out of like stingray sometimes.
Yeah, that'd be the
Yeah,
scallops. Yeah.
and bee scallops.
Hmm.
I like I said, I don't eat scallops. So I don't like them, but I know a lot of people really love them, and maybe that's why I don't like them. Maybe I didn't really have scallops like when I
Yeah,
was a kid.
scallops is funny because they come in different. There's like sea scallops, and then there's what I call other scallops. And the sea
Yeah,
scallops usually are bigger, and they can be taken from any number of places. It was interesting as we were talking earlier about the red snapper. It made me think about something that I read once. Actually, I was reading this book, and what in the book, a lot of times when you read in books, the authors will do some research so
right.
that so you learn facts. And one of the facts that is known is that tilapia is really a farm fish. And
Yes.
one of the reasons that they farm it and they don't put it out allow it into the ocean is because they eat up all kinds of uh, algae, all kinds of plants and stuff, and they cause all kinds of problems in the aquatic fields.
Right, right.
Because it's tilapia, and that's why they really farm it. And they came up with one of the things that they tried to, and they actually have, is called the red tilapia, which is
Mhm.
a hybrid fish, which is a cross between a Nile and a Mozambique tilapia.
Hmm.
The advantage to that particular fish is that it is more friendly to the biology because it's unlike other tilapias. Red tilapia can help control aquatic plant problems and consuming floating plantus and algae. So
Oh, okay.
actually yeah, can help the environment. It's interesting. When we were talking about it, it made me think about reading that story, and I had never heard of it before. But then when you look into how tilapia is really a farmed fish as opposed
Right.
to something that comes natural uh, from
Because
the
if they
ocean.
let it, yeah, and if they would let it into natural environments, it would be
It
invasive.
it
And
it would
that,
be it's an invasive fish.
yeah,
It's very prolific. It's like, It's the fish version of bunnies.
Oh, so all right. So can I have a tilapia then?
Yes, you. Uh,
Is that what I'm gonna
um,
settle for? There you
that's
go.
what you're going to settle for, a
You still
tilapia.
can't have a bunny, but here's a tilapia for you.
There you go.
Just put it in a little
Yeah,
fish bowl in the living room.
yeah.
I could farm tilapia instead of having
Farm
bunnies. Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
that sounds much better. That sounds much better. Yeah, that's interesting actually. And invasive species are very interesting to me. It's like the things that are invasive species when you learn about them are interesting. Like the rabbits in Australia. That was
Mhm.
a heck of a problem for a long time.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
pigs, certain kinds of pigs
Yep.
that were introduced at whatever point are like destroying like the natural environment in a lot of
Yeah.
places, and you have to like cull them and all this kind of business.
There was a story the other day about wild hogs
Yeah.
that were destroying a cemetery
Yeah.
in Florida. So
Oh yeah. And that's like, and in Australia, like, well, in other places too, but in Australia they're like on the beaches.
mhm.
Like, can you imagine?
Hmm.
I saw them when I was I don't know if you ever I'm sure you've vaguely heard about the fire festival that happened several years ago, that whole debacle where the guy was going to have this super high-end music festival, but it turned out he was just conning everybody, and he hadn't like he had all these people paying all of this money to show up in, like, I forget where it was.
Mhm.
It was somewhere tropical for this huge music festival. He hadn't booked any acts. He hadn't built any like tents for people or shelters for people,
Yeah,
and he was
yeah.
charging them all this money. And all these people showed up, and all they had was like FEMA tents and like bottled water and like no food, like, and then it's like raining and all these people were stranded, and it was like this huge disaster. I think the guy went to jail for it or whatever. But it was like this huge it was ridiculous. It was this young quote unquote entrepreneur who was trying
Oh
to
yeah,
do that
yeah.
whole thing. But yeah, but that's why I was thinking about the pigs, because what he did to promote this is he had this high-end photographer take some pictures of some models on the beach, like playing around on the beach.
Oh yeah.
And this beach that they went to happened to have pigs on the beach in the water. And
Yeah.
so there's these there's these models like trying to be like playful,
Models.
sexy, whatever they were
Yeah,
trying to do with
yeah.
like pigs in the water. And they're like, "What should I like? Give him a little kiss or?"
That didn't quite come out the way they wanted it to. Yeah,
Right? And they're like, "Oh my God, it's so glamorous!" Like,
yeah.
this is like the beginning of the influencer business. It was like the
Oh
beginning
yeah.
of that kind of thing. But yeah, you should.
Shaking the booty gives a different meaning at that point. I
Yes,
think.
exactly. If you ever get a chance, folks, you should check out the documentary about the fire festival. I'm sure it's still on Netflix or
Oh,
Amazon or
okay.
whatever. But it was such a disaster. But it's kind of like you're just watching it the whole time, going, "This guy is such an idiot." It was really bad. But anyway, so yeah, so that's my fish story. That's my. One of the other things I have is kind of a listy thing. It is. Oh yeah, so I decided to do some more uh terms for fears. Phobias.
Oh yeah.
We
Okay.
did this
Hmm.
before in a previous
Hmm.
episode, and I
Yep.
found some other ones, very interesting ones. I just want to be clear, like, this is just for fun. Like, I have no desire to make fun of people who have real phobias and who really are, who have irrational fears, who are afraid of something. Because I have a few phobias and I take them pretty seriously. And I know
Yep.
people who have phobias, but mostly these are just, it's interesting to me that there's a name for everything. I just love the fact that there's a word for everything. And so it's also interesting to me that you could literally, just like you could literally be allergic to anything, you could literally be afraid of anything. So,
Hmm.
so
Yep.
here's my list. So first one is tapophobia, And that's the fear of being buried alive, specifically.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That's a, not a bad fear.
I could see
There
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there were quite a few famous people who were afraid of this actually. I think I'd have to do the research. I think George Washington was one of them.
Mm,
But there were quite a few famous people who were afraid of being buried alive, and there was a sort of trend in the fear of being buried alive. I believe in the I want to say 17 to 1800s, and that led to a lot of really interesting mausoleums and coffins and burial practices.
okay.
Yeah, like I don't know if you ever saw like the bell. That's one of the possible origins of the term saved by the bell.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But it's not necessarily proven, is that they used to have like on your grave there would be like a system of maybe like a rope,
Mhm.
and there would be a bell. Just in case you woke up already 6 feet under, you could ring the bell, pull the rope and ring the bell.
Okay.
Somebody could come and hopefully very quickly
Yeah.
dig you out. They also had sort of like a periscope type of tube system where you could just kind of check on the person every now and then just to make sure they're decomposing instead of instead of still being alive. And of course, that's also the main thing that came out of being afraid to be buried alive is just the tradition of having a wake. You know,
Mm,
I mean, there's kind of a reason why in a lot of our practices, your wake that you have is usually and your burial is usually like 3 days later, depending.
mhm. Yeah.
Uh, and you would have the body lying in state, usually in the house,
Right.
for like 3 days. And it was for multiple reasons. You come and visit your loved one and say your goodbyes and all of that, but also just to make sure they didn't wake up.
Yep.
So that's what was it? Tapophobia. Um Nomophobia, which I guess is probably a new one, is the fear of being without your phone. Now, I don't know if you have that phobia, but I definitely have anxiety about being away from my phone. I'm better than I was,
Mm.
but I don't go anywhere without it anymore. So it's kind of a weird mix.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of the reasoning and the advantage to having a cell phone
Yeah,
is that it's always with you.
yeah,
And if it's not with you, to me, it's never been the way that they portray it. The skeptics is that you can't be away from the phone or somebody may call you. I don't always look at it that way.
right,
I look at it as a way to be in contact if needed,
right.
and not just because.
You could get help if you needed to, or somebody could
Exactly,
locate you now that there's GPS attached to phones. Somebody could locate you if you're not able to communicate.
right. So it's not this being, skeptics and critics will say, "Oh, you can't be away from your phone. What about this? You're not going to miss any messages or stuff like that." And I'm sure that there are folks that are like that.
Yeah,
But my look on it, and maybe it's the old-fashioned look, is that it's simply a device that you could be in contact, can be contacted when it's important or relevant or whatever you want to call it.
oh sure.
It's just that's the way I look at it
Oh
anyway.
yeah. And I used to have I don't have too much anxiety around my phone, but I did have a lot of anxiety when I used to live in Ocala and work in St. Augustine because it was quite a long drive, but
Hmm.
also the route I took was through the national forest.
Hmm.
And for most of that time I had no signal.
Right.
And it was at night usually because I'm going home. My concern was if I hit a deer, if my car broke down, or if anything happened to me on the way, Richard wouldn't know until the next day when he woke up and I wasn't there because I couldn't reach out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's nobody around there. Nobody lives there. The only people who are around there are the people trying to speed by you at 7,000 miles an hour. So I guess maybe one of them might slow down and
Right.
help me, but you never know. They might
No.
not. and they
Yep.
might not know who I am if I'm incapacitated, so they might not be able to help me. So yeah, and Richard tried to make I remember he tried to make me feel better. He's like, "Well, if I wake up and you're not there, I'll know where you are and I'll just, head that way."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that's good. I like that." But yeah, so that was my anxiety about that.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, erythrophobia is the fear of blushing. It's kind of sweet, actually.
Yeah. Hmm.
Maybe fear of embarrassment is a larger thing. But I do get embarrassed when I blush because I actually do blush a lot. And it's usually when I'm making a joke or something because I'm like I'm
Hmm.
too proud of my own jokes,
Yeah.
most of the
Yeah.
time. And I'm too
Yeah.
like because I'm trying to consciously impress somebody if I'm making a joke or something. And
Right.
so
Right.
the pressure is on. And of course, my face turns bright red whenever I do that. It's pretty silly. I hate it, but I don't have a fear of it.
Okay.
Um, okay, this one is going to take me a minute to pronounce. It is, I'm just going to do it slow. Uh, hexa, cosio, hexi, conta, hexaphobia.
Easy for you to say.
Right?
Yeah.
That is the fear of the number 666.
Okay. 666 is yeah, that's well, that's a superstition.
It is a superstition. Do you know about the number 666? I mean, you may know like there's not as many people. That's another cultural shift we've had. There's not as
Hmm.
many people afraid of that I've noticed. But it hasn't been that long since working in retail. If your total at the register was 666, people would run off and grab something else to buy. They would not allow that to be their total. Like, and these were perfectly rational people, just being terrified. But yeah, so 666 is, the mark of the beast and all of that jazz. But I, whenever it comes up, and it does come up every once in a while, I learned several years ago watching a documentary. It was a documentary it was a literary documentary, and specifically about biblical stuff and about
Right.
all of this and historical things and ancient texts. And most scholars, at least at the time of this documentary, they had determined that the whole 666 thing and the whole Antichrist thing, it was more of an allegory. And so when you're talking about 666, they had some numerology explanations for it that I don't remember. But
Yeah.
instead of referring to the actual Antichrist, they were actually referring to Nero, the Emperor Nero, because the Emperor Nero was famously and infamously very cruel to Christians. If you remember anything about ancient Roman history,
Okay.
Christians being fed to lions and such, that was him. And so I think it was one of those things where in their text and in their writing, they were basically saying, fuck this guy.
Hmm.
But they were doing it in such a way that they wouldn't be caught. So they were doing it in like number code. So they're saying this guy's the real devil because he's a horrible, terrible person and we hate him. Uh, but over the years, the message was kind of lost, and now there are some people in a superstitious way who think that it's still an unlucky number and it actually refers to the actual devil.
The devil. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So I try to alleviate people's fears whenever
Mhm.
they get a little nervous about paying $6.66 for something. But um, let's see. So porphyrophobia is the next one.
And what is this for yourself?
It is the fear of the color purple.
Oh, okay.
I love the color purple, so I'm kind of sad about that. But have you ever heard of porphyria? The condition porphyria?
No,
It was
the name's familiar, but I'm not sure what it is.
yeah, and it's familiar because it shows up in history stuff because
Okay.
it's one of those inherited diseases that happened with royalty quite a few times. So you remember Mad King George?
Okay.
One of the theories is that he had porphyria, and one of the reasons it's called porphyria is because your urine, if you hold it up to the sun, if it sits in the sun for a couple minutes, it turns purple.
Hmm.
and that's one of the signs of the disease. It's an
Okay.
it's an inherited disease, and it's all through that English royal line, unfortunately, especially when they were doing a lot more inbreeding in the royal
Mm,
families of different countries.
right.
So Queen Victoria was a carrier of it, and one of her daughters had porphyria, and it's also the same kind of, like she also had the genes uh that were responsible for hemophilia,
Oh, okay. All right.
which is also in the royal family, as you know, like uh the Romanovs, the youngest son
Mhm.
had hemophilia, and that was because one of the Romanovs' wife was, I think, the daughter or the granddaughter of Queen Victoria. So Queen Victoria gave all that stuff. And of course, she was German, but that's how all of that got into the into the British royal
Family.
line.
Okay.
Yeah. Queen Victoria give it, and also when you have a whole, you're marrying cousins, even though they're from different countries. The cousins are
Right.
marrying each other so these countries can have alliances. But every
Ah,
royal family is related, so it can cause problems after a while. And that was one of the problems that it caused. Yeah, and also, Queen Victoria had like 9 children. So like if you have a whole bunch of kids, it's just going to
yeah.
add to the issue.
Well, you're bound to have something come up that, and if there
Exactly.
is something that's in the family, it's hereditary. They all get it too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Um, the rest of these are actually not real phobias. They're like created to be humorous, but they're using the English language to create the word, because most medical conditions and phobias do come from like a logical place, like the origin of it. Like I said, porphyria coming from the word for purple, that kind of
Right.
thing. Um, so these ones are just humorous, but they're written in such a way that they look authentic. Um, so this one is called ibophobia, and it's spelled AIBOHPHOBIA. And folks, if you're not driving while you're listening, you can write that down and then look at the word, because it's a palindrome. And ibophobia is the fear of palindromes. So it's a palindrome. It is spelled backwards and forwards, makes the same word. Yes.
Okay.
I like that one.
Mm.
This one is something that a lot of us probably have, and it's arachibutyrophobia. Is arachibutyrophobia. It's the fear of peanut butter being stuck to the roof of your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
This is why, like, I don't eat creamy peanut butter for that reason. It's I don't like the texture of creamy peanut butter at all. I only eat chunky peanut butter. It doesn't get stuck to the roof of my mouth, and I don't like that. uh, and let's see. Oh, this one's my favorite, and this is the last one. Atadidaephobia. Okay,
mhm.
it's the fear of being stared at by a duck.
Yeah, that's scary.
Right, right. And this actually appeared in the Far Side comic. So it
Oh,
was
okay.
made up by Gary Larson. Like, okay, yeah, I being stared at by anything can be unnerving, I imagine. I mean, but I'm stared at by my cats all the time, and sometimes I'm like, what? Like, what's the matter? Like, what's wrong? They're just looking at me.
Yeah, the dog does the same thing. Yeah.
Right? And you're wondering what the problem is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I guess it's better than when you have an animal, it's better to be stared at than watching your animal stare at, say, a random corner of the wall,
Right.
right? Because
Hmm.
then you're like, okay, what is it? What do you see? Is it a bug?
Yeah.
Is it a mouse? Is it ghosts? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
anything. It's probably shadows, but
Right.
I mean,
Hmm.
two of my cats have cataracts now, and so they're constantly like making weird faces at the wall, and
Yeah.
they're like, "What was that? What was that?" And I'm like, what's going on?" I think there's cockroaches. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so those are my fears. Those are all my
Those
fears.
those are your fears. While you were doing that, and you said that the purple fear, it just
Yeah.
is the way my mind works. It's something trivia came up the other
Yeah.
day, and I think you know the answer to this.
Mhm.
Is why pill bottles the the color pill bottles are orange. Why is that?
Some of them, yeah, it's because of light. Because a lot of medications can be degraded by sunlight.
UV.
Yeah. Yeah, UV rays. And some of them actually, they're amber is the more common color now
Hmm.
for bottles, but there are still some that are green and
Hmm.
there are some that are blue.
Right.
Target had the red ones, but it's all for the same reason, just to keep to protect them from the light.
Yeah, so they don't degrade. Yeah, it has a secondary advantage. It's
Mm,
so that you can see the pills inside.
well, that's true. Yeah.
And because I think at one point uh, they had thought to use black,
Oh, right.
and
Or just something you can't see through at all, like
right,
just a solid. Yeah.
it gets you a disadvantage because you can't see what's in the bottle itself, which is an advantage from two different standpoints. One standpoint is how many are left, and the
Yeah.
other is the shape of the pills, because a lot of pills, frequently you find pills the same shape, but a lot
Yeah.
of pills are different shapes. So
Oh, sure. Oh, they definitely are.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, I had somebody was really upset at me the other day. I mean, she really wasn't really upset. She was just upset at the world because we have a different manufacturer of her medicine. And
Mhm.
now it's like a round white pill. And she's like, "Do you know how many pills are white and round?" I'm like, "Well, yes, I do." But she was upset because now so many of her pills are white and round. And she was kind of glad that one of them wasn't and now it's not. I mean, I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. If you're just throwing them in an organizer, you know.
Yeah, and I think as we've discussed before, when they change manufacturers, the manufacturer will have a different shape or a different color. Uh,
Yes, and that's on purpose, by the way. You want to have a different something because it's very important not to be confused with something else.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And so that's why there's markings on all prescription medications,
Hmm. Yep.
so that they can't be confused, or ultimately confused with something else. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you think about it, and I think we all have had this when you're loading up your pill case and you have a coordination attack,
Yeah.
and and the pills are all over the place, and you look at
Yeah.
it, okay, there's two pink pills that are the same
Yeah.
shape, which
Well, used to be that you would put them all together in one bottle and bring them to me, and
mm,
I would sort it all out because I used to do that on almost a daily basis with
yeah,
people. But nowadays, there are tons of free apps on your phone,
yeah,
or you don't even have to commit to an app. You can just Google pill identifier
yep,
and pick
yep,
one, and the markings of all the major pills are right there, so you can
yep.
actually sort those out yourself now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've used that myself on occasion where, like I said, you have a coordination attack, and
Oh
you've
yeah.
got pills on all over the place, and now you're trying to sort them out. I logically, if there's some still left in the pill bottle of a certain type, I just compare it. But if
Right.
I don't have some left of a certain type, then I will use an online search to see the pill, and then you can zoom in on it and see what the markings are.
Oh yeah. No, it's really smart to do that because,
Yeah.
I mean, I do know that pill organizers help a lot of people. I know that they serve a really good purpose, but they can also cause a lot of problems if you're not careful, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I haven't run into it, but I know some folks run into it where they'll have pills that they have to take at multiple times during the day,
Yeah.
and that's really a challenge for organizing it. Um, some can be like thyroid pills, or other types of
Yeah.
pills can be very important that you have to take it, at certain times a day, or within a half hour, or you can't eat within an hour, or some
Right.
all different kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I don't have to run into that, but I can see where that can be a problem. That's why I remember, Sue's mom, she would have morning, midday, and
Hmm.
nighttime pill organizer, you know.
Yes. Well, and the other advantage to a pill organizer is not just to remember to take them, but to remember that you did take them.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, I when I was younger, I didn't quite understand that somebody could forget whether they've taken a pill or not, but
Yep.
it's actually very common to think, "Oh, I haven't taken that yet," and then just take it, and you've
Yeah.
already taken it, and that can cause a big issue for you depending on what the medication is, you know.
Yeah. And, different of us have different ways of organizing basic how our mind works.
Yeah.
Some folks are very regimented in what they do. Hey,
Hmm.
I get up in the morning, I take my pills. I'll go to bed at night, I take my pills.
Yeah.
I take certain pills. Some people are regimented that way, but other folks who are easily distracted, anything just throws them off. They get up in
Yeah.
the morning, somebody says good morning to them. It's like they're off.
Yeah, forget it. I mean, and some people are naturally chaotic, and other
Yeah,
people have a genuine issue that makes them forgetful or forget
yeah,
things.
yeah,
And so,
exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can understand how that would be. They used to have some really good gadgets back in the day. Like they had the pill bottle covers that had a little clock on them, a little timer,
Hmm.
tell you
Yeah.
when to take it. And but those are a little pricey. And you know, set your timer on your phone when to take stuff. You know, you
Oh
can do
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. That's you can do that. I mean, now the way technology is and the way the phones are now, that you can literally set up multiple times during the day if
Yeah.
you need that to keep yourself organized and taking your pills or doing any number of things. So,
Yes, I one podcast that I listened to, I don't know if she still has it because it doesn't go off during the episode, but she had a timer on her like Apple Watch
mhm.
that would remind her to breathe. Like
Breathe.
and they have water reminders too, which I many people would argue that I should use, but I'm not going to. I hate water. So
Yeah, the argument is particularly, if you're in a warm climate or if you're exercising or anything, is to be hydrated.
oh
And
sure.
hydration is twofold. It's the day before and the day of. I think a lot of us, myself, I have the challenge too with being hydrated. However, I believe, and I think it's been borne out by facts that I drink coffee. If you drink coffee or tea, it's a liquid, so
Yes.
you are getting hydrated. And
Yes, and they've shown that the amount of caffeine in sodas and coffee is not enough to dehydrate you, which is what they used to tell you. Oh,
right,
coffee will
hmm,
dehydrate you. It's not enough. It doesn't dehydrate you as much. It's not like dandelions, you
right,
know.
yeah,
But I use the same argument that you use. I mean, I drink lots and lots and lots of Diet Dr. Pepper. And I think I get plenty of fluids
there you
throughout
go.
the day. And I do drink water now, but I drink a particular brand of water that has like flavoring in it because I
Right.
just can't do plain water. I just can't.
Yeah, I do this. We do the salsa water, as you know,
Yeah,
and
those are good.
and drink water. And I used to drink orange juice with my pills in the morning, but now I just do water. And
Yeah.
I'm getting it in, but I think it's still not enough. And I find what's interesting is that frequently when you go get your blood drawn from the doctor's office, they're after they look at the results, they say, hey, you got to hydrate more. So one particular doctor I was with said to me, before you, in the morning that you're doing your blood draw, drink water.
Yes.
And it's interesting that nobody has said that before because it makes so much sense.
Oh, they always said it to me because
Yeah,
because my veins are like little tricksters. They
yeah,
hide
yeah,
and they roll around and stuff. It's very hard to draw my blood.
yeah.
So they tell me to stay well hydrated before a blood draw. And
Mhm.
so I would drink what for me is too much
Mhm.
liquid before a blood draw. And it was like uncomfortable. It's like sloshing around in my stomach. And
Yeah,
then I sit down in the chair and they're like, you're dehydrated. I'm like, I don't know what more I could do. You want to hook me up to like an IV or something?
yeah.
Because I just can't. I just can't do it. I can't drink
Yeah,
the amount of water that they expect me to drink.
yeah.
Anyhow.
True or false?
Mm.
The croissant was first created to commemorate a victory over the Ottoman Empire.
Well, I know it's from that area, so I would say probably true.
It is true.
Yeah.
Many historians believe the croissant was created not in France, but
Turkey.
in Vienna.
Oh, Vienna. I thought it was
Yeah,
Turkey.
yeah, and
Oh.
its shape mimicked the flag of Ottoman forces defeated during the Battle of Vienna.
Oh, so that's why it's associated with, because the Ottoman Empire is the whole
Right,
Turkish thing.
right,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
very interesting. Yes, it's a
very
crescent,
interesting, but
but stupid.
stupid. In in here's another one that's stupid. Speaking of stupid, in Paris in 1924,
Okay.
a car with a large shovel attached to the front was tested. Its
Oh.
purpose? To safely push jaywalkers out of the way. You know, other variations of the idea were tested in the early 1900s as well, as including a car with rollers on the front in which the car trapped pedestrian on the hood of the car. Oh
We
man,
just
talk
have
about
bumper cars at this
the
point.
bumper cars. That's right.
That's great. I've
Uh,
seen things like that, and I've also seen like the one that has like a little arm that goes out,
yeah,
like a school bus has the arm that goes out
yeah, yeah,
so that you're not running over the kids
yeah. Knocking them over.
if you pass by
Yeah,
the bus. Yeah.
yeah. That's
That's
interesting
funny.
how the school buses, what they, I was talking to someone recently about, what they go through for being a school bus driver and all the things that they have to do.
Oh
And,
yeah.
stuff that we didn't even realize, well, I didn't realize was going on. I mean, logically, you count the kids coming off, you count the kids going
Hmm.
uh, on off either way, and recently, I think we may have talked about this at the last podcast where they've introduced here in Florida, the kids have badges, and as they get on the bus, they scan it, and when they
Oh
get off the bus, they scan it. So if your kid has gotten on and off the bus. It's really kind of I think it's a really kind of a cool idea,
yeah.
and it's an app that all the parents in that particular district can have,
Yeah.
so that they can know the kids got on and off the bus. And if the kid didn't get off the bus, hello, there's
Yeah.
some that tells you something. So I
Well,
think,
and of course, I mean, nowadays you have
mhm,
tracking apps for your family and stuff now that we didn't quite have. They was just in the beginning stages when Bev was little of
right,
being able to track your kids
yeah,
because everybody was thinking of it as like a bizarre thing. But I mean, if you think about it in terms of safety, it's really, really good because we can't just lock up our kids forever until they turn 18. We just can't.
yeah.
We need to get back to being
It
safe.
really is, this was when I saw that, I goes, man, that's tremendous because you all it takes is one story of a kid being left on the bus or
Yeah.
a
Getting off at
baby
the wrong place
get
or
off the wrong place, and so
something
you know,
happening to them. Yeah.
right, right, and the other thing which I thought was interesting, just as a sidebar, was that every parent prior to the start of ski season, if the kid gets picked up by a bus, they have to have orientation, and the orientation tells them the rules.
Hmm.
And one of the rules, which when I hear it, I think about it, I say, okay, this makes sense, is that parents on the other side of the street and they call the kid over.
Yeah.
Not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Also, talking to the bus driver for 25 minutes when you're dropping
Right.
your kid off. Not supposed to do that. All
All
that
kinds of
stuff.
rules, which is
Yeah.
it's all about the safety of the kids because that's really, that's when they're
Yeah.
vulnerable, so that and, a lot of, I think not a lot, there's one particular, I think it might be Volusia County that has, they were, they were either trying to get it approved or they got approved where they would have cameras. So if someone went by the bus when it was stopped,
Yeah.
they would get their license number and they could ticket them.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think it's very important because so many times, you see the dumbasses. Sorry, I don't mean dumbasses, but
No, they
that's
are
yeah,
dumbasses, and I used to see it all the time, and it's really, obviously, like my commute to work is on like a double lane situation with like
mhm,
a median in the middle. So
yeah,
if the bus is coming the other way, I don't have to worry about it.
yeah,
But there are a couple of back roads that I go on, and I've seen people go past that bus, and I'm like, why would you? I am so far away from that bus
yeah,
and staying so still. And sometimes I'll be behind someone and they're like edging, creeping, creeping. They're
yeah,
like, I gotta get past this bus. I'm like, you know what, dude? Just chill for a second. Like you're not gonna get there any faster. Listen, I know I've tried going faster on my way to work and it still takes the same amount of time.
yeah.
You know.
And to me, it's when you think about these, installing cameras and this app and that I was talking about, so many times that folks are short-sighted. There will be people that are short-sighted about this and say, "Oh, this is going to cost us a lot of money." I said, if something happened to one of your children or your grandchildren
You wouldn't care how
from lack
much.
of having this safety device in place, you'd have
Yeah.
a different perspective on it.
Yeah, you say they should have done something different. What,
Right.
then you end up suing them, which by the way also costs a lot of money.
Yeah, they'll have like not have crossing guards in certain areas, and they
Right.
say, some people, why do we have them? Well, you have them, to stop the zipper heads or whatever you want to call them from running
Yeah.
over kids, because the kids in a crosswalk. And even if, to me, sometimes if you have a crossing guard and you're not quite in the crosswalk going across,
Yeah.
you're still protected.
Yeah.
You should be protected by the fact that the crossing guard is there, and you have to respect that.
Yeah.
So all it takes is one. Anyways, we digressed on that one. I've
Oh
got
no, that
one
was fun.
last one. What were you gonna say?
I said it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, yeah. One last one for me.
Yes.
Anyways, and Paul Revere wasn't just a hero of the Revolutionary War. He was also America's first forensic dentist.
Oh yeah. I think I heard about that. Something made me do a deep dive on Paul Revere once.
Mhm.
And he was quite a polymath, that guy.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
he used his skills to identify the dead from teeth. So
That's really cool. I mean, he
yeah,
was a pewter guy too, wasn't he? Didn't he like make
yeah, he made pewter. He
he
makes
made pewter
silver
things?
pewter. Yeah, you'll have there's a brand name
He was a pewter
of
Schmidt.
pewter. He was a silversmith.
Yes.
Yeah, there are Paul Revere ware. They had pans and stuff that Paul Revere ware, and
Yep.
they're based on the technology that really came down from what he did. It wasn't just him; other people do it, but yeah, he was quite diverse in that regard. So,
That's really cool. I like that.
yep.
And of course, about the poem about Paul Revere was written like more than 100 years after. And so and I guess there's a joke about the fact that it wasn't just Paul Revere. It was multiple people. They did like the whole
Really? Yep.
baton pass type of
Yep.
thing,
Yep.
getting the
Exactly.
word spread out, the British were coming.
Yep.
Um, but for the poem, it just Paul Revere sounded better than some of the other names. And so that's
Right.
why he wrote
That's why
Paul
it was
Revere.
Paul Revere. Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
okay. He still is a very interesting person. So yeah, so that's
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. And I think I don't know. Did you ever visit Paul Revere House in the North End?
I never did. No,
Yeah.
but when we talked about it several episodes ago, I
Mhm.
looked at a bunch of pictures.
Mhm.
And it is really cool. I love that these houses that are super old
Mhm.
in the city are
Yeah.
still
Still
preserved.
there. Yeah.
It just looks so funny because it's just like a wooden house next to a
Yeah.
bunch of like concrete.
Yeah. Yeah. It does look funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool. I like that. And
Yeah.
I like that they preserve old houses,
Yeah.
and of course that house, that location had a different history as well. We talked
Mhm.
about that
Right.
before it was the Paul Revere house. So, yeah, very neat. I have something that you possibly may find interesting, but also possibly may know a lot about. It pertains to photography.
Okay.
Um, I've already watched little documentaries on this, or even just little segments of TV shows, and I've definitely read articles about this. But I thought I'd put them all together in a little list. This is about some of the weird tricks they use in food photography, like specifically for advertising. I don't know
Okay.
if you've ever seen a little snippet on the news about it, or on a different show about the kind of weird stuff they do to make food look palatable in
Yeah, I
magazines
think I
and
might have
things.
seen one or two things about it. Well, just go
Yeah.
ahead.
They have a lot of really cool tricks, and I looked at a bunch of websites to get some of the information, and some of them are extremely serious.
Hmm.
Um but some of them are just kind of fun. And so basically the idea, if you're trying to sell a food product, or perhaps if you're putting a recipe in a magazine, you want it to be
Hmm.
appealing looking,
Right.
those sorts of things. And taking picture of real food doesn't necessarily give the same oomph that it would if you're there experiencing it. So they have to really zhuzh it up. They basically have to do a glamour shots session for these food
Hmm.
items to make them look as appealing as possible.
Right.
Uh, and you've all seen it. You watch an advertisement for McDonald's and you're like, there's those burgers don't look like that anyway.
No,
But
well, you remember that from
y-
people come and say, my burger
yeah,
doesn't look like
yeah,
in the
exactly.
picture. Yeah, yeah.
But when you look at that in the commercial, it makes you want it, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like, oh, that looks so good.
Right.
And so that's the idea. So they have to do some things, and of course, the mechanics of photography, or doing a photo, like a photo session.
Hmm.
You're in a studio with lights. It's not always really practical to work with food. It's really kind of difficult to work with food. It's almost worse than like animals or babies,
Hmm.
because there can be problems, right? So they came up with these tricks to make it easier on themselves, but still give the appeal that they
Okay.
want. So for pancakes or waffles, if you can picture like and this pertains to video as well, but mostly photographs. If you look at a photograph of like a really nice big stack of pancakes or waffles with like the syrup, and it looks so good and you can almost taste it,
Hmm.
that syrup is usually motor oil,
Okay.
just because it photographs better
Better.
than real syrup.
Right.
Yeah. um It just looks better on camera. Also, ice cream, for obvious reasons, it's really hard to photograph ice cream
Hmm.
and make it
Right.
look good because it's going to melt. It's going to look terrible. So they used to use Crisco actually quite a lot. But now most of the photographers use mashed potatoes,
Oh, okay.
with an ice cream scoop and food coloring, to make all the
Yep.
different flavors that you want. Um, they use, if you see a nice, beautiful bowl of cereal, usually
Hmm.
it's like the spoon is up and like there's a little dripping of the milk down. And you've got that cereal all in this. It looks so good. That's usually Elmer's glue
Okay.
instead of milk, because it's whiter than milk and it looks much better on camera than
Yeah.
real milk. And also it won't spoil and just be gross, and the cereal won't get all mushy and soggy. So if you're looking at a steak or a burger, uh, you want to have those nice, beautiful grill marks. Usually those are painted on with shoe polish.
Okay.
um, and if you're looking at like a bowl of like nice berries, like blueberries or like raspberries, and they have all, that you want them to be like nice and shiny, they'll usually spray them with either hairspray or spray on deodorant to make them look all shiny.
Right.
Um, Interestingly, though, if you're looking at pizza and somebody lifting up like a piece of pizza and the cheese just perfectly
Yeah.
stretched, that's usually real mozzarella
Hmm.
because it works better than anything else they tried, most photographers will say.
Oh, okay.
So at least there's that. I don't know anything about the toppings, they might be fake.
Yeah.
Um, if you're looking at like a cold drink, uh, you're talking beer, soda, water, anything. The condensation that's on the outside is usually glycerin because it isn't going to just disappear, melt, drip as
Yeah. Yeah.
much.
Because
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. Okay.
right. Speaking of beer, if you want to make that glass of beer or a mug of beer look extra foamy with the head on the top,
Hmm.
you can use soap, which some photographers do because that's the easy way, or you can actually use salt and that'll actually do it more naturally.
A bit of trivia
Yes.
is in Cheers.
Oh,
That's what they did in Cheers.
they use
On
salts
the
like on the set.
That's on the set, you know.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense because, at least if you put a little bit of salt in it, you could still have the actors drink it. Soap, not so much, right? If you have like you've seen this in Sue's magazines, I'm sure. If she's showing you a picture of a really nice like soup or a bisque and it has all the nice garnishes on the top like that,
yeah.
uh that might be difficult to photograph because that stuff will sink to the bottom, pretty quickly while you're trying to photograph it. So all they do is they just put a little ramekin inside the bowl.
Hmm.
And then that way your toppings can sit on top of the ramekin so they don't sink to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty clever, I think. Whipped cream is usually shaving cream. If you see like a
Okay.
sundae or yeah, anything with whipped cream is usually shaving cream because again, it's not going to separate or melt under the hot lights.
Right.
Um, and you, I definitely saw this one many times before. But if you see like a nice roasted chicken or a turkey,
Hmm.
it's usually painted. Um, they used to use soy sauce like to paint it just to have a
Hmm.
nice little brownish color. But nowadays, like a lot of them just use wood stain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
If you're looking at a picture of a margarita, usually they'll put like Vaseline on the rim to hold the salt on.
right.
It's more stable, I guess.
Hmm.
And if you're looking at a picture of strawberries, you notice they don't usually look like grocery store strawberries. Like, where's all those white spots that random strawberries usually have? Well,
Right.
they usually just touch them up with lipstick.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And there's probably lots of others. And when I was reading the articles, these people really they really seem to have a lot of fun with it. The one I didn't write down, which was kind of funny, was if you're looking at something that's hot, you want to give the impression
Hmm.
that it's like fresh out of the oven or whatever, and so there's going to
Right.
be steam coming off of it.
Right.
Obviously, that's very hard to keep you're not using hot food, so there's no steam, and so it's
Right.
very hard to like keep that steam going. So sometimes they will just um soak tampons in water and put them in the microwave and then just keep microwaving them and then putting them like behind the dish in the
Oh,
steam.
okay.
And they use cotton balls too, but tampons work better because they're very absorbent. So
Right. Right.
which I thought was really so
Okay. Yeah. Some
yeah,
That's
so
some
they don't have to use like
interesting.
a fog machine.
Yeah. Interesting techniques. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I thought you'd find that interesting. And I
Yep.
I remember years ago watching something on PBS where they were doing that, and they also talked about particularly fast food,
Yeah.
um, because they had this guy like he like literally took a real burger patty, but he only seared it. He didn't really cook it,
Right.
and then he cut a triangle out of it and then spread it out so that it looked bigger in the bun,
Hmm.
and he had it hang, and then he only had toppings on the outside of the bun so that you
Okay.
could see him kind of hanging out. And then this dude literally took sesame seeds and glued them like to the bun. Like the bun had a normal amount of sesame seeds, but of
Hmm.
course you want it to look as photogenic as possible.
Right.
So they glued like with tweezers, they're like individually putting sesame seeds on the bun to make it look as awesome as possible.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. And like you wouldn't want to eat any of that stuff that
no,
they're photographing. So
absolutely not.
yeah.
No.
And there's a whole other industry for food that's used in like movies and TV because that actually gets consumed a lot. And that's for another day, but I do know a
Right.
couple of those
Hmm.
because they talked about that in some of those articles too, like
Okay.
tea for whiskey and such, that kind of.
Well, it's funny you say that because that is a very popular thing and probably wasn't just in Vietnam,
Mm,
but you would have these bars, if you will, they're really not bars, where you could go and chat with all the local girls
Oh yeah, the tea
and
the tea rooms, right?
the tea rooms, and they would be drinking tea,
Yeah.
and so that they yes they'd be drinking a lot of tea,
Oh yeah.
and obvious, and you pay for it, pay for each one, and if they really like you, they don't drink all the tea, and then they come back, they
Yeah.
jump to somebody else and then come back and still have the tea in the thing. So
Aw. And I imagine a business like that, uh, it it had many layers of it had many layers of innocence involved, right? You could literally have a chat with somebody, but I'm sure, uh, depending on the neighborhood, there were opportunities for other types of things, and they had to read the room as far as what you wanted.
yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Except that the way the military would uh, control that part of it was they would have those places on the base,
Ah, yeah,
and they would be controlled in terms of the the girls that were there. They would have to pass security and background checks, and that would be part, and it was definitely run by the military
right.
as a way to give you someplace safe where, if that was your interest, just to talk to somebody, that would be cool, and they just help you feel more secure in doing that. So
Well, that is nice actually. And
yeah.
not to be, like to be completely unjaded. It is a very sweet thing
Hmm.
because I can, it's kind of like if you're like a stay-at-home parent
Yeah.
and you need to talk to somebody who's not a child
Yep.
after like 3 weeks of being stuck in your house or whatever. I imagine it's the same if you're on a military base. Like sometimes you just want to talk about something that isn't your job and isn't the
Right.
military and isn't
Hmm.
whatever political stuff is going on or whatever
Right.
it is,
Right.
and you want to relate to somebody who doesn't, you just want to talk to somebody about stuff, you know.
Yeah, and the thing of it is that a lot of times they're schooled, to ask you questions, and they probably interested in where you came from and how you lived, and what your how you grew up and stuff like that, which is quite different from
Oh
their
sure.
environment and how they grew up.
Oh
So,
sure, and also how different all the areas of the United States are must have been
yep. Hmm.
fascinating to these ladies. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
For
And a lot
sure.
of them, I'm sure, because a lot of people came over to the US after, a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of people might have been interested in, you know moving over. So
Yeah, well, yeah, I think they were,
I'm
yeah,
not saying they were fishing for husbands, but I'm just mean,
no,
I just mean like, some of them wanted to get information because it sounded like a really cool place to be to them,
yeah, not only that, it's also a way for them to make money too. So,
Oh, sure. Oh,
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Did you ever learn about Tippi Hedren?
no,
Yeah, she did a lot actually. So she used to go over uh with like the USO,
right, hmm,
and I think she just wanted her nails done, you know, and I guess there was nobody around who could do that. So she kind of taught some ladies how to do nails.
yeah, huh,
And some of these ladies were like, they were in tough situations, and some of them wanted to emigrate to the US and uh whatever have you. Like war is pretty awful for the country that you're living in, if it's
hmm,
in a war.
yep,
She actually like made a foundation, and
hmm,
she facilitated the immigration of like tons of Vietnamese women
hmm,
and helped set them up in the nail businesses. And that's why there's a lot of Vietnamese owned nail salons in the US.
hmm.
It's because of Tippi Hedren wanting to get her nails done.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And
Yeah,
she was,
that's a
and
cool
of course,
story. Yeah,
yeah. And of course, we know who she is. I mean,
yep,
she's famous. And, sometimes you wonder about famous actors and actresses. And it's really nice to hear. a little bit more of a diverse story about them rather than just I'm a famous gorgeous person,
That's right. Yeah.
She had her trials and tribulations, and she's Melanie Griffith's mom.
Yeah.
But she had a lot of harassment in her life from her director, and she had a really rough go of acting, she had a
Yeah.
hard time. But it was really cool that she did some good works for people and made some people's lives better in the way that they wanted them to be, which is cool. These women really wanted to have these careers, and they own businesses, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's really neat.
Nice. Good stuff.
Is that all we have for today, you think?
That's all I have for today. I don't know about
Yeah,
you.
I think
Oh,
that's a nice set. I think so.
yep. Hmm.
If you guys think so, you should send us an email, mochiverse@gmail.com. That's MOCCIAVERSE at gmail.com. You should come over to Apple Podcasts and give us like a 5-star rating. You could subscribe to us there. You could actually subscribe to us on any of the podcasting platforms. You don't have to just come to any particular website to find us. You can Google us, but if you have a podcast app that you use, just search in it. We're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, Amazon, we're on all of them. Just look up the Mochiverse, find us, subscribe to us, and listen every 2 weeks for our episodes. And tell people that they should
Yeah.
listen too.
That's right. Tell
That's
people
right.
about us. Yes.
Yeah, especially about the next segment, which is the best segment, and that is the dad jokes.
Dad jokes. Here we go.
Yeah, here
Boom,
we
boom,
go.
boom. Why do melons have weddings?
Why?
Because they can't elope.
Oh my God. Why didn't I know that?
Yeah, you should have known
sure-
that. When I said, oh, she should know this one.
I'm sure I've
Anyway,
heard that. Oh
yeah.
God.
Why did the computer get glasses?
Why?
To improve its website. You had to think about that for a second.
Well, because I was too focused on the web part. I was like, what
Yeah.
does that have to do with any? Okay, site.
Yeah.
Idiot.
And there's a lot of these, the elevator jokes. What did one elevator say to the other elevator?
What?
I think I'm coming down with something.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why are fish so easy to weigh?
Why?
Because they have their own scales.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I like that one actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I had this date last night. It was perfect. Tomorrow I'll have a grape.
So dumb.
What did one blanket say when it fell off the bed?
What?
Oh, sheet.
Oh, sheet. I'm sorry. That's like, you remember Stripes?
Yeah. Yeah.
With Son of Beach and Sheet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What was even more useful than the first telephone?
The second telephone.
There you go. That's it. Hey, listen, I'm afraid for the calendar. Its days are numbered.
Oh, yes.
That's
yes.
one.
Yes.
And I went to this doctor with a suspicious looking mole. They said they all looked like that way, and I should have just left them in the garden.
Yeah, you should. Wow. Is that a Reader's Digest one?
Yeah, feels like it, doesn't it?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, was that all of them?
Yeah, and you should do a bit of bump afterwards, but we don't always do that. So,
Maybe I will set up a soundboard and we could do crickets
yeah.
instead. All right, folks. That is all for us. We will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Very good. Bye-bye.
Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. I've got a little cat. I'm very fond of that. I'd rather have a big bow wow.
Personally, I guess the baby doesn't know any better, but I wouldn't want to be the last one. Okay.
That's fun.